there's a new off-road four-wheel drive Lamborghini.
Hang on a minute.
Thank you very much. Welcome, and coming up in this week's show, Abby is sideways on ice in a 911 Turbo. Richard drives Jim Clark's beautiful Lotus 25, and I nearly fall over. Right, there's a new off-road four-wheel drive Lamborghini. It's called the Urus, and to find out if it's any good, I took the Grand Tour to Sweden, armed with some questions. Here's my first big question. If you build a car to tackle terrain like this, can it still be a proper Lambo? Well, the Urus certainly looks like a jacked-up supercar. With its swivel-eyed styling, it appears to be every inch a Lamborghini. But is it? Turbochargers may be a little bit annoying on the road, but here they're giving with a low-down torque that I need to get up this hill. Oh, dearie me. Oh, God. Dearie me. Oh, good. That will do. This is the first Lamborghini to use turbocharging and the first to have an automatic gearbox. And what that combination means is there's a very slight and rather un-Lamborghini-ish gap between putting your foot down and it getting going. And when it does get going, there are no screaming histrionics. Sure, there's a bit of popping and banging from the back. But you can't hear that inside, where everything is muted and refined. I can see the Pope in one of these. So, it's quiet and a bit hesitant. And it has snazzy diffs and a clever traction control system. And the biggest carbon brakes ever fitted to a road car. So it's safe as well. However, there's no getting around the fact that I'm currently driving on snow and ice in a car that has 641 horsepower rampaging around underneath its bonnet. Which means that actually, it's not that safe at all. There's no... Which means that actually, it's not that safe at all. There's no manual locking differentials. There's no low-range gearbox. All you can do is fire it up and then put the drive system into snow mode.
It sits right at the moment where excitement stops and terror begins.
That is Lambo land, that is. Shit.
So, the Urus looks and feels like a Lamborghini. It's also practical. The boot is massive. And inside, there's space for 5 6-footers. It's a nice place to be as well. And all that's great. Which leaves us with one more thing to answer. Is it a good laugh?
What we've done is use a snowplow to create a racetrack on this frozen lake. And this is what we have planned.
I'm going to try and overtake this, a 4-wheel drive Porsche 911 Turbo, which is being driven by the Grand Tour's racing driver, Abby Eaton.
Have you seen this crack?
I hadn't noticed that before.
Look at the state of this.
You're the heavier car, aren't you?
That's 2.4 tons, and I weigh half a ton. Are you not worried about that?
I haven't got my seatbelt on, so if it goes under, I can get out straight away.
Seriously?
Yep.
Before the duel began, I had a few practice laps on my own.
Oh, dearie me. Oh, God. Oh, God, that looks tricky. Go! Drive carefully. I'm going to get off tonight, though. It is quite scary through here. at that for a tiny line. Yes. Roaring up. It may not be able to get as far up a ski slope as a Range Rover, but for doing this, it's better.
But would it be good enough to get past Abby in that Porsche?
There she is. There she is. The bell has sounded. The race is on.
Now we'd find out what's what on our specially designed trek.
To make this car, Lambo's engineers had a good run in Volkswagen Passcoat. So the engine, the 4-litre V8, is wrong. The rear axle and air suspension is wrong and Bentley taper. The platform on which it sits and a lot of the dashboard is wrong and in the S7. So does that mean this isn't really a Lamborghini at all? For God's sake. Answer. Oh, my Urus is a bit twitchy. What did you say to your doctor? Right, onto the straight. Have her! Come on!
For lap after lap, the big, heavy Urus clawed at the rear end of the 911 Turbo.
Oh, God! Really? No!
But eventually, I had to admit defeat.
I can't get past that 911, and that's just an end of it. But I can keep up. And in an off-road car, that is fairly astonishing. It really is.
Certainly, I can believe Lamborghini's claim that this is the fastest off-road car in the world.
Fun, yeah, nice day out.
I got paid for that.
That was your job.
That was work. Doing that is my work. It probably won't be the fastest off-road car in the world for very long, though, because both Aston Martin and Ferrari have got big SUVs coming out this year.
Yeah, whatever. Thing is, could you really tell people that you have a Urus? Because it sounds like a minor alien out of Star Trek.
Yeah.
But it does work as a Lamborghini.
Yeah. But no.
Well, this is excellent consumer advice.
Yeah, it's very clear, very clear.
The thing is, after I made that film, which was quite good fun, I came home and I thought, the trouble is, it could do with being a bit more Aventador-ish. It could do with being a bit more mad.
Are you saying you changed your mind?
Yes.
Oh, great. So Prime Minister Clarkson returns from the summit. I've declared war. But on the plane home, I had another think about it, and I'm not so sure now. I've changed my mind.
Exactly. That's what I've done.
Good. Well, since we're in such a sensible frame of mind, I'd like to move things on now with a brief history lesson. On April the 7th, 1968, a racing driver was killed in a Formula 2 race in Hockenheim, Germany. Sadly, the driver's death was not a surprising occurrence, because such was the danger of the sport back then. He was one of 127 racing drivers who would die at the wheel that year alone. This time, though, the death sent shockwaves through the motorsport world, because it had just lost the man who was unquestionably the greatest racing driver of his day, and who many argue is still the greatest of all time.
Let's do this.
Having cut his teeth in sports car racing,
Hurry up!
I am sitting where Jim Clark sat. Go, go, go! This is electrifying! These were not powerful cars. They only made 210 brake horsepower for 1.5 litres, but they were still good for 180 miles an hour.
thanks to its...
Get a bloody move on.
...wasn't just fast on the straights, but quicker through the corners too.
We're off. Now this bit is really scary. Watch this. Go, go, go! Try it now. Come on, come on, come on. I shall be victorious.
And in the 1963 season, Clark used it to win a record 7 out of the 10 Grand Prix.
Winner is Jim Clark. Nobody could possibly catch him now.
But 1963 was just a warm-up for what was to come. To get a true picture of Clark's genius, we must look at another year.
Get out of the way!
A modern Formula One driver does 21 races a year and often complains that's too many. In 1965, Jim Clark raced in 63 races. Some of these cars look similar, but they are all completely different. In a car like this, he'd do Formula One Championship. He raced in the British Formula 2 Championship and the French Formula 2 Championship in this car. He raced in the Tasman Series, a sort of Australian Grand Prix for Down Under, in this car. And then there's this Lotus Cortina, in which he decided to race in touring cars. And then if all that wasn't enough, he decided to go for the Indy 500.
Let's do this!
Here's Lotus Cortina and racking up touring car victories.
Go!
Oh, I'm slightly alarmed.
Get you more to go with me.
Are you ready? Come on, keep going.
Gotta keep the pressure on.
Oh, no.
Right, we're all set. Don't look so bloody surprised. This is dangerous because of you. Brilliant.
And on top of all that, there was America.
The Indianapolis 500 has been called the greatest spectacle in racing.
America's most prestigious race would be a tough challenge. Oval racing at higher average speeds than he was used to against seasoned Indy veterans. For the Indy 500, Clark raced a specially developed Lotus producing just shy.
Here we go!
Upstart from across the pond, take a rookie driving test before he could compete. Begin!
Keep going! Go, go!
Come on, this is it! Come Indy weekend, the upstart from across the pond, qualified on the front row. And then, in the race itself, Clark, up against America's finest oval racers, won by just over 2 minutes.
Jim Clark, first European to win at Indianapolis since 1916.
Anywhere near as quickly as Jimmy did, because he was just so precise. Anywhere near as quickly as Jimmy did, because he was just so precise.
Unleash the beast!
Besides a supernatural ability to coax speed out of the car, Clark also possessed another vital skill.
A lot of very good racing drivers died in Lotuses because the Lotus was a very fragile car. But Jim Clark was so smooth that he never put too much stress on the areas of a car that would give up.
Get a bloody move on.
Clark, for example, he was leading the race when his gearbox started to let go.
Did he give up? Nope. Instead, he drove the rest of the race, and we're talking 160 miles.
Get out of the way.
However, in 1968, driving the Lotus 49, another game-changer from Colin Chapman, Clark took the first win of the year in South Africa and looked set.
He was a benchmark. That was it.
Let's do this.
All of that's amazing.
Get a bloody move on.
Good night.